Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. Say, did you know that race car is spelled exactly the same forward and backward? No joke. I just always found that fascinating. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Heat, Pedal to the Metal from Days of Wonder.
We'll get back to the review in just a moment. I want to take a minute to ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, books on history, military history. I even post some of my lectures for my classes on there. Please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. And now, back to the review.
In Heat, Pedal to the Metal, 1 to 6 players take on the roles of various Grand Prix race car drivers as they're attempting to win the race and win glory. In this game, each player has their own little mini race car. You have your own player board in that color. You're also going to get a set of player cards, of course, in that same color. Now, the game comes with 2 different game boards. Each has a side, and these are different tracks that you can play on. Now, your player board has a space for your draw deck, your heat cards, and your discard pile. Now, your heat cards in the center, they're there because they are not yet in your car, meaning they're not in your deck. Uh, as the game goes on, you will get more of those will come up in your hand. They will kind of gum up the works, but that's the price you gotta pay for going fast. Now, every round, players will engage in steps. Essentially, you're going to select your gear. Now, at the beginning of the game, of course, you're going to be in first gear. Now, you can shift up 1 or up down for free. It doesn't cost you anything. If you want to shift 2 up or 2 down, there is a cost, and I'll explain more of that later. Now, why shifting your cards is important is because depending on the gear you are in, that is how many cards from your hand you are going to play. Now, after you've selected your gear, you're going to go ahead and play that number of cards. Again, if you're in first gear, you play 1 card. Second gear, you play 2 cards, etc., etc. Now, most of the cards will have a speed on them. That's essentially saying how far your car will go. You are playing cards for the number in order to advance that number of spaces along the racetrack. Now, along the track, you have a race line on one side or the other at various angles. Now, as a player is moving, he's going to move to the side of the racetrack with the race line. Now, subsequently, other cars that come up, if ever a car is right next to him, the car that is closest to the race line is considered to be in the lead. Now, as you're moving, you can actually move through cars in front of you, unless, of course, your total movement would not go that far, in which case you are blocked and you must go to the closest available space. Now, one card that will come up in your deck is the stress cards. Now, these stress cards, they essentially just have a plus on it, meaning when you play them, you actually go to your draw deck and you start drawing cards from there. As soon as you draw a card with the speed symbol, you can play that card and you move that fast. However, if you draw any cards that don't have the speed symbol, they immediately go to your discard pile. Now, players that are in the 5th or 6th space, they can use adrenaline, meaning they can advance 1 additional space or they can have 1 cooldown. Again, more on that in a moment. Now, the 5th phase is the react. Now, react will either let you take a free boost or it will let you take a free cooldown. Now, again, cooldown is you've got these heat cards in your hand. Now, you want them in your engine because some things are going to cost heat in order to do, so you want them in your engine. You don't want them in your hand. So you can actually, with a free cooldown, you can take one of these cards from your hand and place it back into your engine. Now, also, too, with your when you shift, sometimes that will allow you to put cards, your heat cards back there as well, another cooldown action. Now with React, instead of the cooldown, you can take another boost action, meaning in this case it's a free boost action. You don't have to play a stress card, but again, you're just drawing cards from the top of your deck, looking for the speed symbol. As soon as you get a card with the speed symbol, you can go ahead and move that number of spaces. All of those cards that you've drawn, whether they had a speed symbol or not, go into your discard pile. Now, the next step is slipstream. Essentially, if you are adjacent to a car, if you end your turn adjacent to a car, either behind it or beside it, you can then move 2 additional spaces. Next, you must check corners. Now, there are various corners around the board, and in these corners, you have to be able to move at a specific speed through them to go through them safely. Each corner is going to have a number that goes to each of these corners, which means you have to go, your total distance of speed has to be equal to or underneath that number. If it goes beyond that number, you're going to take that, the difference, you're going to take that in heat cards. Now, if at any time you speed through a corner, that is to say you go faster than the corner speed, then you're going to look at the difference between the corner speed and your actual speed, and you will have to pay for that extra speed in heat, meaning you take cards from your heat and you pay it into your discard pile. If you can't afford to do that, you spin out. If you spin out, you go back to the corner line, you drop your shift down to 1, and you're also going to have to take additional stress cards. Next, you can discard all the cards in your hand except for stress cards and heat cards. They have to remain. Then you're going to replenish your hand. You're going to draw back up to 7 total cards. Now, that's just the basics of movement. There's several other bells and whistles that come with the game. For instance, you can do at the beginning of the game the garage module. Essentially, you can choose to take 3 very specific kinds of cards that will give you various abilities and more speed during the game. You can also play with the Legends module. That is a number of cards you will put on the track that will be able to move and compete against the human players. They're going to be moving through a certain AI system. Additionally, there are various road effect tokens you can place out there, which alter various sections of the road during the game. And there's also a championship system, so you can effectively play multiple games in sort of a campaign style. So players are going around and around. They are playing cards. They are paying for those corners in heat. They are attempting to move faster and farther than their opponents. And the first player who's able to cross the finish line after the set number of laps wins. Heat. Okay, so I'm late to the party on this one. This one came out, I want to say this was 22. This came out in 22. And I heard about it, and I was really excited for it. And I actually looked for it, and I couldn't find it ever. For the longest time, I could not find this game anywhere. This was kind of notoriously hard to find game. And then Ray came over one night, and this was, I don't know, several months ago. He came over one night, and he had it, and he wanted to show it to me. So we played a couple of games, and wow, I was really blown away. Racing is not really one of my favorite genres of game, but I played some great racing games. But it's thematically, it doesn't thrill me, but it was a very fun game. So I immediately went out and I bought a copy myself. I went online and I can't remember, maybe through Amazon or something. I ordered it. So I was really happy when it finally arrived, and I got a copy of this game. And like right after I bought it, it was like I couldn't find it again anywhere. So I was really super happy that I got a copy of this game. And then here, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, Ray and I came back and we played, like, over the course of a night. We played like 4 or 5 games of this. We just kept playing it, and it was really a lot of fun. We really got a kick out of it, and this is one of Ray's like absolute favorite games of all time. So what? Obviously, I like this game a lot. What do I like about it? Well, it's I don't know if you would call this actually deck building, because otherwise with the garage module, you're not actually building a deck here, right? But I guess you could say this is deck building adjacent. It's certainly a kind of the way you discard cards and stuff is very reminiscent of a deck building game. But what you're doing here fundamentally is you're trying to go as fast as you can on those straight lines, but then you have to slow down to get those corners. And it's how you manage your hand, and can you pay to go over, if you have to. It's really a fun puzzle. It's really fun to try to manage that. And of course, it's a race, so there's that tension there of trying to get to the other side as quickly as you can. It's a game that once you kind of figure out the basics, it's fun, it's fast, it's intense. I think every game, I don't think I've ever played this game without the legends, meaning without the AI competitors. I think every game I played, and I've only played this with Ray so far, but I think every game we've played, we've used the Legends, and they're just tremendous fun. It's a great AI system in there that keeps those going and moves those along, and I really like that one quite a bit. I really like playing with the Legends quite a bit. I can't imagine playing this game without Legends, right? I really enjoy that. Component quality here is great. I love the cars and the cards and the board. I think everything looks beautiful. I like the little pole you've got for your gear shift. That's a lot of fun as well. So I haven't played with the campaign stuff. I haven't done any of that. I might at some point. We'll see. But I like that you've got that material in here. I think it seems like that's just a great way to bolster it. So I got to tell you, even if you're like me and race cars are not like this great big uh, thematic draw, I still think you'll get a huge kick out of it. This is just so much fun. It's so well done. The card play here is great. It's just intense. It's fun. It's scary. Man, coming up on those corners and you're downshifting and you're thinking, okay, how many cards am I going to play? What can I play here? You know what? I've got a card that's got a 0 on it. I can still be in high shift and play a bunch of cards, and that's not going to penalize me. Just decisions you're making like that, it's just great. This is a super game. Recommendation for the discriminating gamer for Heat Pedal to the Metal is buy it. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We'd ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. I'd also ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to please check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history, books on history, fun things like that. I even post some of my lectures on that channel. Please check that out. Please subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. Also, too, please leave a thumb to this video on Board Game Geek. And if you really do enjoy the content we bring you, please, I would humbly ask you to click on the Super Thanks button and leave a tip. Speaking of racing, I actually went to a drag race the other day. I can't believe the guy in high heels won.
Please somebody help me on my feet again. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band.
It'd be pretty freaking disturbing if you lose Vienna to the Italians.
Well, you're gonna win.
Oh, Zach, I love you.